So we just saw in the previous lesson that it's very easy to change the display order of queues. But there's much more that we can do with queues in Microsoft Dynamics NAV. We can use enhanced queues to show KPIs in our role center, a very, very interesting feature that has been released in Microsoft Dynamics NAV 2015. Let's have a look. So here in my sales order processor role center, you can see a number of queues, and you can also see that some queues have a colored bar at the top of the queue. And that's what we call an enhanced queue. And based on the value of the queue, the color will change. So it's displaying sort of a sentiment, that you can assign to a number of these queues. So for example, I can see red, which is of course not very good. I can see yellow, which is in between, and you can see green, which is good. So these are good values. And what is very interesting is, like I just said, this will change based on the number of, on the value in the queue, but that as a user, you can also define these values. So for example, here you can see that 7.5 days of average delay for Kronos International is not good, which is why it's colored red, okay? But suppose that you want to change these values, then I can go here to set up queues. So let's do this. And here you can see now that for all the enhanced queues that we have available in our sales order processor rule center, we can enter a number of ranges. We have the low range style, the middle range style, and the high range style. And you can see that the high range style is typically unfavorable, while the middle range style in most of the cases is ambiguous, while the low range style can be favorable. And again, that's something that you can very easily select yourself. So for example, basically what Kronos is saying is that the average days delayed less than 3 is favorable. So if a sales order is delayed 2 days, that's still favorable. That's still not really a problem. So if you click on one of these ranges, you can then very easily select one of the following values: none, favorable, unfavorable, ambiguous, or subordinate. So again, in this case, this is favorable, but you can also change very easily the value. You can also, I could say, for example, 2 days is for me favorable. And because everything that is delayed more than 2 days should be, for example, ambiguous. So in this case, between threshold number 1 and threshold number 2, Kronos International is not showing a color. So they're not showing a sentiment. But I can, again, very easily change this. So I can say, for example, that I would like to show this as ambiguous. Now, so far, nothing is changing, but because if I click now on OK, you can see that my colored bar is still red. And that's because, of course, because of the threshold 2 value, which is still 7. Suppose now that I will change this to 8, which means that I'm saying that from 8 days delay on, then it should be unfavorable. Now you will see that the system will color the indicator yellow. And so now it's ambiguous. Now it's in between. So it's not really bad, but it's of course also not good. So it's a little bit the danger zone, you could say. You see, so it's that easy for a user to change these values and to apply another sentiment, another color to a specific value of a queue. So let me go there again. So if I click on Setup Queues, what you will have to do is define the threshold values, as you can see here. And then combine them with a range style. So favorable, ambiguous, unfavorable, or maybe if you want, no. So if you don't want to apply a color for a specific value. So what you will see is that once that you start changing these data, this is what we call now a personalized queue, because we're talking about personalization. So this is very important because the changes that I've made are only available in my role center. So for my colleagues, the threshold 2 is still 7 and threshold 1 is still 3, for example. And this is only in my case the situation now. So that's also something which is important to realize. But again, in that way, I can very easily apply colors to my queues in my role center. So setting up enhanced queues to show KPIs is something that we can do, and as a result we will have colored indicators changing the color based on the value of the data in the queue, as we just saw. And we have a visual indication where standard is no color, favorable is green, unfavorable is red, ambiguous is yellow, and subordinate is gray. And also take into account it's not available for all queues. So you will also find role centers with queues that are not enhanced queues, so that don't have these colored indicators. So it depends a little bit on the role center and on the queues that are displayed in the role center to see if you can have colored indicators. So not available for all queues.